Carolyn Bessette died at 33, officially a plane crash. But according to rumors, Carolyn Bessette was a victim of the Kennedy family curse, or simply of a life she was never ready for. And why did her marriage turn into a nightmare? I'm Polina. Subscribe to my channel. Every week, one star, one mystery, one truth that's hard to believe. Carolyn Bessette is 26. She's a public relations director at Calvin Klein and one of the most stylish women in New York. Smart, elegant, independent. Carolyn wasn't looking for fame, just building a career selling clothes to the faces on magazine covers. The last thing she wanted was to end up on them herself. But one meeting changed everything. 1992, the Calvin Klein boutique in Manhattan. John F. Kennedy Jr. went into Calvin Klein to buy a suit. Carolyn, the manager, helped him choose. John Kennedy left the store not just with new clothes, but with Carolyn's phone number. John F. Kennedy Jr. was 32, the heir to a famous dynasty, the American prince. Kennedy always got whatever he wanted. Instantly. A few days later, he invited Carolyn to a society event. But when she arrived, John was there, with another woman. Carolyn turned around and left. That was the first time the president's son had ever been told no, and it got under his skin. John F. Kennedy Jr. pursued Carolyn for almost 2 years. When John proposed, Carolyn didn't answer right away. It took her weeks. She was afraid, but in the end, said yes, believing that with John Kennedy, she could still be herself. On September 21, 1996, they married in secret. Carolyn didn't yet know that from that moment on, her life would no longer belong to her. Carolyn Bessette married one man, but along with John Kennedy, she got the attention of an entire nation. After the wedding, the newspapers exploded. American prince marries common girl. Carolyn's past was dug up. She was hounded. Carolyn couldn't leave the house without camera flashes. Her clothes, her makeup, her figure, everything was dissected in the yellow press. John had grown up in that hell. For him, paparazzi were just part of life. Carolyn complained of insomnia and eventually started seeing a psychiatrist.
Even more so I just asked any, privacy. And,
guys, can you back up on me?
Give her, she makes her adjustment.
Go back up.
Greatly appreciated.
One desperately tried to protect Carolyn, but it was all to no avail. By the summer of 1999, their marriage was falling apart at the seams. Constant arguments. Carolyn screamed that she wanted her career, her old life back, and more often, she threatened divorce. They still loved each other, but they no longer knew how to live together. Even Princess Diana, herself hounded by paparazzi, wrote John a heartfelt letter. "I hope the press leaves you and Carolyn alone." Princess Diana understood that nightmare better than anyone. Everyone around could see they were on the edge. Something had to change. They needed a way out. The way out was suggested by Carolyn's sister, Lauren. She insisted on the trip to the wedding of John's cousin. If they could spend time together, away from cameras and gossip, Carolyn and John might be able to fix things. July 16, 1999. John took port in New Jersey. Limited visibility. Night. A flight instructor urged John Kennedy not to fly and even offered to go with him. But John replied, "I want to do this alone." He wanted to prove to Carolyn that he could handle the situation. Martha's Vineyard Airport was just minutes away by air. They could already see the lights of the shore. There was very little time left until the weekend that could have changed everything. But at 9:41 p.m., the plane suddenly vanished from radar. In the darkness over the ocean, John lost his sense of up and down. John simply didn't realize the plane was falling. All three died instantly. That was the tragic end of John's attempt to prove to Carolyn that he had everything under control. The official version is pilot error, but many are convinced that it was no accident. The last year of Carolyn's life was unbearable. Carolyn developed severe clinical depression. Some believe Carolyn made John fly in bad weather on purpose. But then, why was her sister Lauren on board? An innocent victim? Or was Carolyn no longer in control of herself? Or is it the Kennedy family curse? The assassination of John F. Kennedy Sr., the assassination of Robert Kennedy, the deaths of other family members. Too many tragedies for one clan. It was believed that John F. Kennedy Jr. was seriously planning to enter big-time politics. And in time, John F. Kennedy Jr. would run for the US Senate or even the presidency. A well-known political strategist, Roger Stone, claimed in his public statements that John F. Kennedy Jr.'s political opponents were responsible for his death. Carolyn was just a victim because she married the heir to America. Carolyn Bessette wanted to be herself, but she was chosen by the American prince, and the world never forgave her for it, not for a second. The cameras, the tabloids, the gossip, the threats, all of it destroyed Carolyn long before the plane went down into the ocean. I'm Polina. Subscribe to my channel. Every week, one star, one mystery, one truth that's hard to believe.